So what is up, guys? Silver Warrior here, and today I just wanted to discuss something that me and my cousin were thinking out. I was wanting to do a little bit of a different video. I was gonna do something else right now, but some of these items that I'm about to show you don't belong to me. They actually belong to my cousin, so definitely gotta give him a shout out. Big thank you for helping me out with this and help me think of this idea. But I'm just gonna be discussing some alternative long-term investments. Now, obviously, these are not for something like an economic collapse. I'd consider these like the same type of thing as high premium coins. Something to just, consider that will go up in value over time. And starting out here, I'm going to talk about Lego sets. These, even if you don't get limited edition ones necessarily, I mean, they're all technically limited edition. They don't make, quite as many sets as you might think. And especially this one's like, the Star Wars one right here would be one to look out for, simply because of the fact that it is for such a popular franchise like Star Wars, and two more Star Wars movies are coming out, I believe. They announced two more. So definitely something to have, when Star Wars is building up even more popularity than before. And this was a set that I had bought myself, just to see, because I know that all Lego sets over time build value. They go up like 12.9% in value, I think, over the past 10 years is what they experience was 12.9% value per year average increase. So I think that that's a pretty decent long-term investment in 10 years. This might be worth, 3 times what it's worth now or something like that. So definitely something to consider, because the thing about Lego sets is that they're not meant to be kept. So, people that buy them, 95% of the people who are buying Lego sets are buying them to build them. Everybody's heard that about valuable Lego sets over time, but no one really cares about it. Most people who buy these sets are going to keep them. And something that my cousin had pointed out was wouldn't you want to buy a higher value set because of the fact that it would build more value because it's worth a lot more. And I was thinking, I agree, until I thought, well, here's the thing. These higher value sets, more people are thinking of the same exact thing as me. They're thinking, you know what, yeah, I'm going to hold on to this set. More people will do that with the higher value ones. Something like this $50 set right here, barely anyone thinks about holding on to it. So I don't know if I'm going to be right about this or not, but I have a feeling that a lot more of these are going to be used than the ones that cost $400 or $500, those types of sets. And because of it, I believe that this one is going to be a little bit more valuable. Like, pieces from this will, other people will have the sets and they'll build them, but like they'll lose pieces over time, or they'll mix pieces with other stuff. So I feel like sets like this, like the lower value ones, not like super low value, but like the lower end value ones, are actually going to be worth a little bit more over time, because they're going to become rare, because a lot more people will build them and lose the pieces from them, because $50 is not a big expenditure, but it still has enough value where if it builds a little bit of value, that's cool. So the next thing I want to talk about is different video games. Now, obviously, I don't recommend buying the newest copy of GTA 5 and holding on to that, because so many are sold that you have to remember it's not going to really build any value over time. They, even new, they're a lot cheaper than they were, when they first came out. So even though, even if you keep the game perfect in perfect condition, if I could speak, it's not going to do much for it. It's still going to be cheaper in store than in what you paid for it originally. But what I'm talking about is the video games that don't sell well. These are all for the Sega Saturn, and as well as this controller here. And that was a really poorly selling console. And even though, since it was poorly selling, it's going to have a little bit less popularity, certain people who look for those rare video games are still going to be willing to pay a lot for it. And this is a really a rare game as well. It's a holographic edition of Majora's Mask for the N64. This game, just the N64 didn't sell super well either. It was, it did sell decently, but all the games for it are worth at least a little bit of money. So, and this one's definitely no exception. It's one of the most valuable ones, I believe, for the N64. I believe it's in the top 10. It's no Earthbound or something like that, but it is worth a little bit of money. And of course, in box it'd be a lot better. Like, these ones are all in their original cases, so this one does not have a case, unfortunately, for it. But if you notice that a new system came out from a big company, not like some system, it's like some bootleg system or something like that, but some from a big company, but it just doesn't sell well. Maybe want to consider picking up the system, or at least some games for it. Maybe pick up the games that are poorly selling for it, because you never know. Especially the special edition ones for the system, they might build a lot of value over time. You don't have to buy them, now, like these ones, because these were all bought, I think, around the time when they were released, as opposed to being bought now. So, and these are some of the stuff that does not belong to me. Like belongs to my cousin, and this is just kind of something that everyone uses the Sega Saturn from time to time. But I believe that, like I said, these were bought around the time when they were released, and you could do that now and wait over time, and maybe see a little bit of a profit on your pieces. I mean, you never know, right? Definitely something to consider though with video games, especially, or just anything really, where you notice a limited edition or release of something. It might not necessarily be valuable, but if you notice something has a low production rate, because of the fact that it's really poorly selling, then maybe you want to consider picking it up. The next thing I want to discuss is upper value shoes. Now, these might not be the best example because they're not super expensive, and this is not quite what you do with them. Obviously, you wouldn't wear them, but I'm talking about certain shoes that get released, in very small runs. Maybe something like like certain Jordans that get released are extremely popular, and they're not super available. So if you're willing to wait in the line or deal with the pre-ordering, however the process goes of getting the shoe, the particular one, and you can afford it, maybe you want to pick them up and just simply air seal them, put them in like a vacuum sealed bag, and because shoes are hard to keep in perfect condition. I mean, they're not easy to keep in the best of conditions, so that's one of the reasons why they go up in value over time. And I mean, sneakers, they do deteriorate, so if you can keep them in flawless condition, resist the temptation of showing them off by wearing them to everybody, and just like I said, like keep them for 5 or 10 years. I mean, maybe not even 5 or 10 years, maybe even a shorter time than that. You could be looking at a huge potential profit. I mean, these certain upper value shoes, like these ones, like I said, are not the best example, but certain upper value shoes do retain, or not even retain, but like gain massive value. I mean, they retain their value several times over, and therefore, you can make a huge amount of money on them because the simple fact that, I mean, like I said, they're expensive. You have to spend a lot, but shoes, just like Lego sets, are made to be, Lego sets aren't made to be worn, but made to be used. Shoes, most people are going to want to wear them to show them off to people, and they're not going to think about the fact that, they could make a lot of money off of them. And of course, a few years down the line, they'll be like, hey, I have those shoes too, but mine are used. If only I kept them new. But then, no one really thinks about it at the time when they're buying the shoes. So if you could keep them in flawless condition, you could be looking at a couple $1,000s on, maybe a pair of shoes that cost $400 or $500, 5 years down the line might be a few grand. And that's a pretty big profit, but of course you have to be willing to take the risk, and you have to be willing to spend the money. But at the end of the day, it definitely does work for upper value shoes. Like I said, it does happen a lot, but I wouldn't try it with shoes that are lower value, simply because of the fact that they're extremely available and they're highly produced, but the lower produced ones can definitely have a huge amount of value. And remember, these are all investments I'm trying to talk about where it's something you can buy now when it's new and pay less for it than over time. So, that's usually what I'm trying to cover here, like new video games that are low and everything like that. Anything that you can buy new and then expect a huge amount of value on over time. I guess for my last example here, I'll show, just other miscellaneous things, I guess, like, just stuff that's part of popular series maybe, and it's a really limited edition piece that that you won't, play with or anything, and you're willing to keep in its original condition. Like this Platinum NASCAR right here, one of 9,998. So it's a pretty limited edition. It's for the 50th anniversary. I have it completely original, and this is one of the many things that my dad has given me over the years, along with a bunch of other cars, which I actually need to show my full NASCAR and Johnny Lightning car collection to you guys, because it's pretty impressive, I believe. And this is like kind of the crown jewel of it. This is something that over time is going to build a lot of value. And this car is a little bit old, I believe, too. If I remember correctly, it is a little bit old of a car. I don't know exactly when it's from. I'm trying to find. Yeah, I can't find the trademark year. I can't find the year that it was copyrighted or anything like that. But I believe the 50th anniversary of NASCAR was a little while ago. I've had this car for a few years now myself, so it's definitely a little bit older, and it's just something to look out for. Stuff like I said, it's part of popular series. That is just like limited edition in the series for an anniversary or whatever. This camera I'm showing is just an old camera. I'll pull it out of its case for you guys, because it is pretty cool. It used to be my profile picture on YouTube, for a little while actually. I don't know if any of you veterans of my channel recognize it, but yeah, it's just an older camera. I mean, just stuff like this, old electronics. I mean, this kind of goes with video games too, but just older stuff, can hold a lot of value today if it's kept in good condition. This camera still functions. It still can be used to take pictures and stuff. And if you just keep the stuff, I mean, maybe now not so much because everything is mass-produced, but this would have been made, I believe, in the U.S. because it looks to me like it's from the 50s. I believe it's, actually, no, it's not U.S. I think from looking at the writing on here, I think it's German, actually. So, yeah, this definitely looks German to me based on the, just the, the company and everything, the name. So, yeah, I guess this definitely was not like some cheap mass-produced thing, though. It was definitely crafted with care, if you will, and stuff like that. Just can hold a lot of value. Some antiques that you might not think would hold value definitely can. But if something modern like this comes around, maybe you want to pick it up. Maybe, I don't know. But I do hope you enjoyed the longer video, and I know it's a little bit different for my channel, so I hope you guys appreciate it. And that is it for this one. Peace, love, and much respect.